We're back, and we have the Tri-State Office Furniture Tweet of the Day. This comes from Pitt Football and the Disney Spirit Award. It's Trey Tipton. He's been named college football's most inspiring figure this year. He became a mental health advocate after overcoming depression from a tragedy in his own family. And then he started a nonprofit called Love, which provides mental health support for students and athletes in the Pittsburgh area. And that's a tremendous situation there for Trey Tipton. And it's great that he got acknowledged nationally for this with the Disney Spirit Award. They have a game coming up against Syracuse on Saturday, and here's a dilemma for them, Chris. They really have nothing to play for in this game other than a 10-win season, which they could secure now, or they can also get in the ACC championship game. However, again, there's nothing to play for. You run the risk of losing players potentially. I don't think they're going to operate like that, nor probably should they. But it is an interesting debate. How many players of significance do you play, and how long do they play in a game like that?
I mean, I don't think that this is much of a debate, or I'm going to take a side that if it were the NFL, I would probably be on the other side and say, listen, you're playing for the Super Bowl every year, and you don't have to do recruiting in the NFL. You have a draft, right? Rest your best guys, even if maybe, that dulls the sharp edge a little bit, right? But this is a sport where your brand, your image, all that stuff is important. And for me, Pitt getting 10 wins in the regular season, having an honest-to-God 10-2 season with a chance to win the ACC title, get to 11-2, win a bowl game that matters, that people care about, a New Year's Day game, right, a New Year's Six game, and go to 12-2. You've watched this team for a long time, just like I have, just like everybody that's watching this show has. Just the visual sight of them having a 12-2 and probably a top 8 ranking at season's end.
Yeah, by the end of it,
next to their name. That would be, for me, image is everything in college football, and that would be a big boost to Pitt's image. It would be a big boost to Pat Narduzzi, and I think it would look markedly different than, say, being 9-3, maybe getting to 10-3, or then having 10-4 come into the equation with your bowl game. Play your guys, try to wipe Syracuse off the map here in this game. I also have kind of a vested interest in them doing that because it's Syracuse. No particular reason, of course.
No.
And then try to get their 10-2.
Yep.
I mean, I think it matters to them. I would normally say, hey, it's not worth the risk. Pickett's so important, but he talked about that with us today on the PM team, that it matters to them to be the first team to get that kind of win total since the early 1980s. I mean, that's the bottom line here.
Yeah, I agree. And it's kind of interesting to me that the bowl championship, the college football playoff committee came up and they did something I did not think they were going to do, and they put Cincinnati, the first non-Power 5 team to be ranked in the top 4 in Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati has 2 good games left, so they may say, hey, we put you in there, now go out and prove it. But right behind them is Michigan and Notre Dame, and there are a lot of games left here, so it's going to be interesting how it all stacks up with these championship games. But were you surprised Cincinnati got to number 4?
Pleasantly, and I think the problem here is that the committee is probably looking for a way to justify putting Notre Dame in over them somehow, even though, of course, Cincinnati went in there and won. My sum of all fears is I would be almost, say Cincinnati and Notre Dame somehow both got into the playoff. I'm sure there's a configuration of losses that can happen that would make that so. But the idea that I would be more mad that Notre Dame got back in than that Cincinnati was in. I hope it stays that way. I hope Cincinnati routes its final 2 opponents, and I hope that this is a no-brainer that you can't possibly keep them out. But I don't know. I'm cynical like probably a lot of people about college football. I think where there's a will, there's a way, and if there's any kind of way, they'll make the will to keep Cincinnati on the outside looking in.
Ralph in Mount Washington joins us right now on the Sports Call. Hello, Ralph. How are you tonight?
Yeah, how you doing, guys? Thanks for having me on. I want to talk a little bit about Matt Canada. You guys the last few days have been ripping into him about his play calling in the Chargers game. Now, I saw some of the old Fichtner calls, some of the think and dink, and I think Ben is making those calls, throwing into coverage, the short passes. That's all Ben. I don't think Matt Canada's offense is right now a square peg into a round hole with who we have at quarterback.
Yeah, I understand that, but my criticism has been strictly on goal line calls and how long it's taken them to get 2 yards when they have put into play a different philosophy. That is, they drafted a number 1 pick, a running back. They have a young offensive line, I know, but their goal was to try to improve a run game. At the goal line with that guy in there, That's my biggest criticism, Chris. It's not so much the other stuff, because I do think Roethlisberger has a big play in that, but the goal line stuff kind of bothers me.
The goal line stuff's my primary issue. I mean, that series after the long pass to Claypool, where they just tried to get cutesy, I just don't want to see that. You've got Zach Banner healthy enough to play, champing at the bit to get back in. You pay a fullback $3 million. You've invested all this draft capital in your line. I know Kendrick Green's getting blown up too much, and that's ruining a lot of running plays. Put in the heavy guys and run it. I mean, it's the old thing with like the Penguins and the power play, where people just would constantly scream, shoot the puck at this talented group of people. Sometimes, honestly, the hordes are right. The hoi polloi, the peanut gallery, when they say shoot the puck, sometimes they're right. When the old school people that miss Ron Earhart's 1993 offense or whatever scream, just put in the big guys and run the ball down their throat, sometimes they're right. That's the problem I have with Matt Canada. I would agree with the other stuff, though, that this is square peg, round hole. But here's the other problem, Bob. I don't see a lot of separation on a lot of these downfield routes and concepts that Matt Canada has designed. You need to get separation in this day and age in the NFL. You need to be able to scheme it up, and he hasn't shown me that he's able to.
We have an interesting story breaking tonight. Jason Mackey has that. We're going to talk about it. It's a Pirates signing. We'll delve into that next when we continue live right here with the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.